We got Fidelity, almost 300 grand in Fidelity. And I looked through that, by the way. $500,000 in Fidelity?
Well, 475.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So this was end of last month. This was the last time I did a net worth checkup.
Congratulations. And they're reasonable investments, I saw. Like, it wasn't anything crazy. It's just like the S&P, a good globally diversified fund. I can't fault you on that. See, I think that's a good use of cash long term. Over the next 30 years, I could see you doing quite well on that. And just dollar cost averaging, regardless, just don't pay attention. Just don't look at it for 30 years, I think is good.
I do 70% S&P, 30% NASDAQ. That's my current go.
What about international? Have you thought about doing any international?
Just every time I look at any funds related to it, it's just their historic returns are just
bad.
Yeah. But I know. I know.
So what I've seen with international so far, and I've just done, the basic of research is that it's very cyclical, and that the international is good for balancing out your portfolio, so that when the US is not doing so well, the international is probably buffering that a bit. So you're not going to see the high highs, but you're not going to see quite the low lows.
Right.
Yes, it's underperformed, but it's been pretty stable, even though it hasn't gone up a ton. So I know it's tough to look back last, 10 years and see, it's only made 4%, but the S&P is up 70%.
Right.
I know that's tough. Yeah. But you also have to consider the dividends are a little bit higher in that. And it's been pretty stable. And you never know what might happen. So I think a small allocation of that, not investment advice. But it's just something to consider. It's interesting, though. It's good you're trying out a whole bunch of different platforms here. I like Acorns a lot.
Acorns is great.
Yeah, I've been using them for years.
Yeah, link in the description below. Get your free $5.
Yeah, they're good. Moomoo, $5,000 in Moomoo. What do you think of them?
So Moomoo's really good. So I do a little bit of single stock type stuff in Robinhood, and I'm considering switching over to Moomoo. And we're talking partnership with them right now, but I don't do any partnerships until I can fully test it out. Yeah. And what I'm getting from them versus Robinhood is just a more developed platform for individual stocks, and I'm really liking it. There's a lot more research I need to do before fully switching over to them, but I threw $5,000 in there, give it a test. All I did was buy some QQQ.
Cool.
So, but no, pretty cool.
And what do you think between Moomoo and Webull?
I've never used Webull.
Have you really?
No.
They're like the OGs.
Yeah.
Really?
No. Okay. For single stocks, I've just been Robinhood.
Interesting. Try Webull.
Okay.
Give that a shot, just to test it out. Webull's pretty advanced with a lot of the things that they offer, but this might be worth it. I like to try every platform I can.
Yeah.
And just to give it a shot, see what you think of it. And then that way, if someone ever asks, hey, what do you think of this platform? You've tried it out. True. You've used it. So student loans, $37,313.
Yes,
is that deferred?
Deferred until right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It just started again.
What's the plan on that?
Well, they're at 4%. So minimum monthly payments till they're paid off. I feel like it's not a waste, but kind of $37,000 to just throw it at it if I'm going to get average 10 point whatever with dividends reinvested in the S&P 500 on average. So it's just like the check that comes in this month, I could wipe that, but I also would rather just throw it to S&P 500.
Is that tax deductible, the interest on that?
Depends on your income levels.
So I'm guessing for you, it's not.
Honestly, when I was making $100,000, it wasn't. So
part of listen, I know on a rental property you're going to arbitrage the difference, but wouldn't this be nice just to wipe out? Because you're making
it would be, but
4.5% on SoFi after tax. You're taking home let's just call it 3 something.
The stuff that's in
but then you're paying
SoFi,
4 on student loans.
The stuff in SoFi, it's not necessarily in there to make 4.5%.
I know. So you're looking for an opportunity.
It's in there for taxes.
Oh.
I got to pay those taxes. And it's not enough.
Are you doing quarterly tax payments?
No, annual. This is the last year I can do it without a penalty, or because it's my first full year.
Yeah.
And then next year, I'm trying to. Well, you actually had a really interesting. I don't remember where I heard it, but I remember you at one point saying you did annual because whatever negative penalties you get, you're well making up for via the money that you're putting it in and letting it grow.
Not anymore.
Not anymore?
Not anymore. So that was a thing in the past when the market was doing as well as it was.
Yeah. This year's been great, though.
Yes, but also the penalty back then was not as much as it is now.
Oh.
So the interest rates have gone up.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, so the amounts that you owe, I think it used to be like 2 to 3%, and now I think, don't quote me on this, I think it's like 5 or 6%.
I thought it was
So it's-
around 3. Okay, wow, kill me. Well, that's next year's problem anyway,
I believe.
But, yeah.
2-3 years ago, I did a whole thing with my accountant, and we did the determination of where the money was going, where it was invested. And it was an amount that I said, I'll pay the penalty on it. It makes sense. I'm going to invest the difference. And that was at a time, too, where I was sinking almost all my money into rental properties. I was fixing them up. I was renting them out. I was really active with my money. And then interest rates started going up, did the math on it, and I determined it was a big waste of money not to do the payment. So I've been doing the estimated quarterly tax payments for almost 2 years, or about a year and a half, give or take. Started doing that.
Okay.
It's good and bad. It's bad seeing
wait.
such a big amount coming out of the account, but it is nice at the end of the year. You do your taxes and maybe you don't owe anything. And that was actually quite freeing because in my mind, I was always saving a big chunk of cash, just knowing, this is coming up. I got to prepare for this. It was nice doing my taxes this last year and knowing it's already paid.
Yeah.
Like really close to what the actual amount was. So it was nice that it was out of sight, out of mind.
Okay. So, no, that's great.
Just
I did find a great CPA through a really successful business person here. So I haven't used them yet, but that is a conversation that needs to happen very quickly. Yeah.
Yes.
So but the student loans, you'd pay them off?
I probably would because I think financially, yes, you could arbitrage your money and you could make the 8% while you're paying out 4%.
So you're talking emotionally.
I just think, yeah.
So it would emotionally weigh on you. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
I think I always try to do a situation to situation. If it emotionally weighs on someone and it's a low rate, then I'm like, do it. That I feel nothing with it existing. Nothing.
I'm also a hypocrite because I still have my Tesla Model 3 loan that I took out at, but it was at like 3-something%. But I could deduct that because I use that card just for driving around, for business.
If I ever do get a new car, I think I want a Tesla.
Tesla's a fantastic car to buy.
Mostly because of the self-driving and the tax.
It's barely even functional. Their self-driving their self-driving is atrocious.
Full self-driving, I heard it was good. I've watched reviews.
I've done it. I had the full self-driving beta. I stopped using it. It's a novelty. It's a novelty to do it once, be like, hey, look at this, it's turning. I am so nervous behind the wheel of this thing driving. If you're on the highway and you're just doing the basic lane thing where it could go around other cars and whatnot, even that's terrifying because you get phantom braking where you're going on the highway going 75. It just the brakes slam on it. You have to hope no one's behind.
But think
it's so
I put
glitchy.
On the self-driving, then I can be doing swipes on Hinge.
And we'll talk about that.
Well, I'm driving.
Yeah, it's probably not the best.
Matches.
I don't trust Elon Musk and Tesla to drive me in a car.
That's fair enough. Well, if that's not the case, then I will stick with my 2019 Jeep Cherokee Tail dies.
I think the Jeep is a fantastic car. You wouldn't qualify for the tax subsidies of the Model 3. You would be able to write off the full cost of a Tesla Model X because of how much it weighs.
But those are ridiculous expensive still. But
they lowered the price a ton.
They did.
Yeah. They lowered them like $20,000. Even the Plaid, the Model X Plaid, I think used to be like $130 and now it's like $100. I mean, they lowered the price of these cars by a lot.
Which also, I never try to find things at the dip and that's when I buy. But this is like the one time, if I'm going to get a Tesla, oh my goodness, every single month they're getting cut in price. I feel like I'm going to buy it. The next month is going to be $10,000 less.
I would personally keep the Jeep for as long as you can.
Yeah, that's my plan.
So
I'm not a car person. I don't give cars.
But yeah,
I just like the
student loans, I just think how much you're bringing in every month, how small this is relative to that.
Yeah.
And I just think for the ease of just knocking it out and being done with it, it would not make that big of a financial difference. That's how I see it. Okay. You could arbitrage it, and financially, you're probably better off arbitraging it. But when we're talking about what the real difference of that is, even if it's like $1,000, $2,000 of arbitrage over the lifetime, is that really worth it? Maybe it is. Okay. I think it's just easy to but either way, it's like you're still coming out ahead. It doesn't matter. Like a lot of these things are trivial in the big picture.
Highly consider that. Before this conversation, I wouldn't have even considered it, but I want to come into this as open-minded as possible. So I will definitely highly consider that.
Yeah, it's difficult for me because we could go through all of your expenses and none of it would matter. I mean, you could literally take $20,000 and light it on fire and be like, "That's my entertainment tonight."
It's so weird to me. I've not mentally gotten there, but
That's why I think you should really play it conservative, play it very safe until it's really sunk in. You get years of that income under your belt, and then at that point you could really readjust to it and figure out how you want to deploy it. Like that 3 years thing, just base it off 3 years ago. How would you feel about that? 3 years from now, maybe you could make those franchise payments.
All right, well, that's fair.
So just something to consider.
I did have $50,000 in Robinhood. On the talk of investment,
so what's that in?
I don't know. They're individual stocks.
I mean, I think it's fine.
Okay.